Back in the real world, at 17:30, in Si-yun's rental apartment, Ju-tong showed up apologizing for being late. She'd stopped to grab some drinks. Si-yun waved it off, saying her brother was not home yet anyway. Ju-tong raised an eyebrow, surprised he still had not returned. Ju-tong asked if her brother even knew she'd passed the Art Academy exam. Not yet, Si-yun admitted, but she told him she had news. He'd probably be late, so why not start eating? But then Si-yun realized they were out of garlic sauce. She told Ju-tong to wait. She'd run to the store with Leo the lion cub and grab some snacks too. Time to celebrate properly. At the convenience store, she paid and thanked the cashier, then cooed at Leo peeking quietly from her bag, calling him a good boy. The little lion stayed calm and quiet inside her bag, not causing a fuss. She praised him and promised to buy him more cookies next time. But around a street corner, a shady group had their eyes locked on her, one of them confirming he had her in sight. One asked if they should make a move, but the leader told him to wait. Follow her until there are no cameras, then deal with her. The thug replied with a nod, and so they began tailing her through the streets. But Si-yun was sharp. She'd noticed the same faces since she left the store. What did they want? Leo let out a soft whimper, sensing trouble. You feel it too, huh? She whispered, telling him to stay hidden. She braced herself, muttering that it looked like they were in for an adventure. Meanwhile, back in the demon realm, Si Chen assessed the situation. These enhanced monsters had stats close to B rank. Their shells were rock hard, making it nearly impossible to strike a weak point. He had to find a way to break through their armor. Suddenly, Palace's voice rang out with gratitude, thanking Si Chen for buying him enough time. He'd been charging his stats, stamina, speed, elemental power, mental focus, luck, all maxed out. Si Chen's eyes widened in surprise. Palace declared that this was his ultimate finishing move. He warned that even an A-rank lord would be reduced to ashes, then unleashed his skill, Nova Warrior. Extreme Blazing Sky Cleaver, sending a colossal sword arc toward the demon horde. With a deafening boom, the blade swept through the monsters, vaporizing them on contact. The slash kept barreling straight toward the demon lord himself. When it struck, a massive explosion erupted, engulfing everything in blinding light. Palace collapsed to the ground, completely spent, stamina, mental energy, and elemental power all drained to zero. He gasped, thinking it was finally over. But then, a chilling laugh echoed from the smoke. Is that all you've got? The demon lord's voice sneered. Both Si Chen and Palace froze in disbelief. The demon lord emerged unscathed, mocking them as worthless humans. Palace stammered, realizing his full power strike had done nothing. He was completely unharmed. Talk about some serious plot armor. Si Chen quickly analyzed. The demon had absorbed all the energy from the demon eggs right before impact, forming an impenetrable barrier. Palace's hope crumbled. Was this really the end for them? But then Si Chen's voice cut through the despair. He proposed a deal. Palace could take first place in the competition, but the $1 million prize would go to Si Chen. The system announced a job change. With one condition, whatever happened next, Palace had to keep it a secret. Screen flashed. Level 24. Si Chen. Class. Infernal Rakshasa. Palace's eyes went wide. You are a dual-class user? Talk about a plot twist. The system displayed the skill, Star Warrior. 100 bones returned to void, which absorbs stamina and strength from nearby corpses, scaling proportionally. With a thunderous roar, Si Chen absorbed the energy from the fallen monsters, unleashing a terrifying wave of power. Palace stared, utterly speechless at the sight. I told you, Si Chen said, his strength and stamina now maxed out. I will take care of this lord myself. Now this is main character energy. The demon lord's eyes widened in terror as he witnessed Si Chen's transformation, letting out a guttural, agonizing shriek that echoed through the cave. Palace clamped his hands over his ears, cursing the mind-numbing spell that had already plagued him once before. Unfazed by the sonic assault, Si Chen calmly strode forward, closing the distance with the panicking lord. The lord stammered in disbelief, his voice trembling with confusion. Why was not his hypnotic power working? Desperate, the lord prepared his ultimate attack, still baffled that his hypnosis had zero effect on this human. Enraged, The Demon Lord unleashed a devastating wave of abyssal energy, a massive shockwave ripping through the battlefield. The shockwave consumed the area. Si Chen stood unmoved, but Pallas took the brunt of the hit, coughing up blood as he staggered back. Even with the demon's overwhelming power flaring around him, Si Chen continued his relentless march forward, unshaken. The Lord screamed in frustration, unable to comprehend how Si Chen remained unscathed. Snarling, he ordered his minions to tear him apart. With a command, the Lord summoned a massive serpent and hurled it towards Si Chen, ordering it to rip him apart. In a flash, Si Chen drew his blade and cleaved the serpent cleanly in two. The creature hit the ground hard, its severed body a testament to the sheer force of Si Chen's strike. But no sooner had the first serpent fallen than two more lunged from the shadows, aiming to catch Si Chen off guard. Si Chen did not even flinch. He dashed forward and sliced both snakes into neat segments, almost like preparing ingredients for a hot pot. Talk about efficient butchery. Without missing a beat, Si Chen used the opening to charge straight at the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord quickly raised a defensive barrier, confident in its unbreakability. He sneered, telling Si Chen to save his strength. Leaping into the air, Si Chen brought his sword down in a powerful arc aimed directly at the Lord. Activating his sword art, Si Chen channeled every ounce of his power, the system flashing notifications of stats max. The blade connected, shattering the demon's supposedly invincible barrier like glass. The Lord's eyes went wide with panic. "How? My barrier!" he screamed. Pallas watched in awe, realizing this guy was something else entirely. He mentally questioned who Si Chen truly was to shatter that barrier so easily. Without hesitation, Si Chen followed up with a skill-enhanced punch, his fist glowing with devastating force. The blow sent the Demon Lord crashing to the ground with a thunderous impact. He groaned in pain as Si Chen calmly strode over to him. Towering over the fallen Lord, Si Chen demanded, "Tell me, how are you connected to Wrath?" The creature's eyes bulged in shock. "How? How could you know the name of Lord Wrath?" Si Chen's voice was ice. "Answer me." The Demon Lord spat bitterly. "If I knew where Lord Wrath was, do you think I would be stuck here instead of breaking his seal?" Si Chen's eyes narrowed. "Breaking the seal? Wait, so someone really managed to seal that thing away." The demon's form began to dissolve, but he let out a maniacal laugh. "Lord Wrath will return. Just wait and see." His voice echoed as he faded, promising that Wrath would come back with a demon army to slaughter every last human. The Demon Lord vanished, leaving behind a pulsating orb of energy. Si Chen extended his hand and absorbed the orb, the system confirming the Devourer was complete. A new class appeared in his status, Soul Mage, with abilities like Hypnotic Sleep, Hellish Shockwaves, and a Soul Barrier. This was a serious upgrade. The victory chime rang out as Si Chen leveled up to 25, gaining new items like snakescale pouches. Talk about a satisfying loot drop. Si Chen muttered to himself, realizing that Wrath had existed in this world far longer than anyone realized, yet remained hidden. Sense of unease crept over him. Something was unfolding, something beyond his knowledge. Pallas coughed weakly, forcing a faint smile. 2 classes. I never saw that coming. He admitted defeat gracefully, acknowledging that Si Chen was in a league of his own, and that the victory was well-deserved. Pallas made a solemn vow to keep everything he'd witnessed today a secret, burying it deep within. He doubled over, coughing up more blood, clearly still badly hurt from the battle. Si Chen reassured Pallas that with the boss gone, the exit would open, and their guild would arrive soon to provide aid. But then Si Chen's gaze caught something disturbing, a dangerous-looking man surrounded by writhing tentacles in the distance. His blood ran cold as he realized that the figure in peril was none other than Si Chen. The scene shifted to a dark alley on June 24th, 2157, where Si Chen realized she was being tailed by a shady group. She'd noticed them following her ever since she left the shop, and she had no clue what they wanted. Whispering to her tiny lion companion, she told him to stay hidden and not reveal himself. Following the first rule of being tailed, she decided to lose them in a crowd. Heading to the bustling restaurant district where the evening crowd was thickest, she hoped to blend in. Melted into the crowd, but the pursuers rudely shoved people aside, shouting for her to stop. In the split second, they lost focus. She vanished from their sight. The thugs panicked, realizing she'd slipped away. Believing she'd finally shaken them off, she sighed in relief. But suddenly, a figure blocked her path, having anticipated her route. Panicking, Si-Yun demanded to know who they were. The group from behind caught up, laughing at her efforts, mocking her as a little chick. One of them used an ice ability, freezing her feet and sending her tumbling to the ground. He taunted her, asking if she was all out of steam. Stepping closer, he told her to make this enjoyable for him. Out of nowhere, a powerful kick connected with his face. The thug was sent hurtling through the air, crashing into a wall with a loud thud. Another, more menacing figure raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Leo, the little cub, had transformed into a magnificent adult lion with a flowing white mane, radiating raw power. Talk about a serious upgrade. Dumbfounded, Si-Yun stared at her, suddenly massive guardian. The kick thug nursed his face, screaming about where this lion came from since their boss never mentioned a giant beast. Talk about being left in the dark. Leo let out a deafening roar that sent the pursuers scrambling in fear. But the transformation took its toll. Leo reverted to his tiny form and collapsed unconscious. Rushing to his side, Si-Yun was terrified. Calling his name, she cradled him, asking if he was all right. One of the thugs scoffed, disappointed that the lion had fizzled out so quickly. Summoning tree roots with a creepy grin, he bragged that the lion barely lasted 10 seconds. The roots began to coil around Si-Yun, trapping her in place. Terrified, she warned them to stay back. He leaned in, telling her not to waste his time, and demanded she either remove it herself or let him do it. With a sneer, he repeated his threat, making her skin crawl. Suddenly, Leo's eyes snapped open, and it felt like someone else was watching through them. A spatial rift tore open, and Si Chen burst out, delivering a brutal kick to the thug closing in on his sister. Absolute savage. The impact sent the man flying into the wall with a sickening crunch. Turning to Si-Yun, Si Chen apologized for being late and asked if she and Leo were okay. The thugs were stunned, demanding to know where this unexpected backup came from. She told Si Chen she did not know how they tracked her, and that all of them were awakened beings. He told her to stay calm, that he was here now. The thug who was slammed into the wall slowly picked himself up, cursing. He realized he had lowered his guard. Threatening to take their heads back to his employer, he claimed Si Chen had made a fatal mistake, adding that their heads would fetch triple the bounty. Si Chen ordered Si-Yun to hide behind him, promising this would be over quickly.